Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Inspired by Jacqueline. Oh my gosh, I hope you're ready today. I hope you're ready to just sit, listen, and just let it flow because today is all about faith. And this conversation with this specific guest is going to be truly, truly inspiring and transformational. With that said, I want to welcome my special guest today, Yudy Veras Bueno. She is a transformational life coach, fearless women advocate, a speaker, a best-selling author, and host of Inspirame Podcast. She has transformed many lives. Despite her struggles with eating disorders, anxiety, and depression, Yudy has become a fearless speaker for real diversity, representation, and inclusion. Her powerful story of overcoming adversity serves as a reminder that we too can overcome our challenges and make a difference in the community. So, Yudy, welcome. Would you like to add anything else?
I think that was a mouthful. That was good enough. Thank you, Jackie, for having me. And I know we've been talking about this for a while, doing the podcast, and I'm so excited that we're finally doing it because we've been doing so much together already, right?
Yes,
So I'm
yes.
excited. This is one of my favorite topics, faith,
Mm.
because I don't think we speak enough about it, and it's just so fulfilling for me and it will keep me going. So thank you for having me. I'm thrilled. Usually people don't invite me to talk about faith,
Oh,
which is unfortunate, really.
yeah. And when I know we've had several conversations already, and when you had discussed faith with me, I was like, yeah, this conversation has to happen because this is a part of my platform and my one of my pillars. And I know that people struggle with it, no matter where they come from, no matter their beliefs, there is a struggle there. So before we start, how do you start your mornings?
How do I start my morning? It's a very simple. I create what I call routines. And I think in order for us to ground ourselves, it's important that we create routines. So I start my morning with my meditation. I meditate every morning. And sometimes, it can be only 10 minutes, depending on the schedule, or it can be up to an hour and a half. And it's the most fulfilling part of my day. I notice that when I don't meditate, it's like it doesn't feel right, and I get very tired when I don't do it. So meditation is a spiritual practice to cultivate my faith, but also it's a ability to connect with yourself, connect with the universal force, and somehow when you do that, it does recharge you.
Some,
So
yeah.
that's how I begin my morning.
And what's your favorite drink in the morning? Coffee or tea?
My I do coffee, but I also do my green juice. My green juice is a mix of, fresh vegetables. I believe that we need to eat more life-giving food.
Mm,
Food that comes from the ground, food that comes from the earth. And actually very blessed because my husband does my green juice every morning. And when people hear green juice, they're like, ah, but
hey,
it's
that's me.
but it's so if you taste the green juice that I get every morning, it's a treat. It's a total treat. I love it. So those two things,
Mhm,
the meditation and the green juice,
mhm.
and then I do stretching. It does really put me in the right track for the day.
Mm. And I asked you about what you drink because I know when I went to see you one time, you gave me this amazing tea, and I am not a tea person. I'm a coffee person, 100%, and sugar, as you know.
Oh yes, the brown's rice tea, right?
I don't know what it was called, but it was so refreshing. It was so tasteful. It was just simply like it transported me to like a
Ooh.
garden. It transported me to like a Zen moment. And
Yeah.
so I was like, I have to ask Judy, what that was because it was truly amazing. It was an experience.
So yeah, so what had happened is in the past, I was very addicted to caffeine and coffee, and when I realized, when I do a lot of self reflection, and as I was working with my own coach, she asked me, when you because it was getting out of control, right? I was drinking like 7 to 10 cup of coffee a day, and I was
Oh,
having
wow.
really awful heart palpitation. And she asked me, when you drink the coffee, just sit with it and smell it and ask yourself, like, why is this so important to me? Like, what is it? And as I was doing that one morning, I realized that the coffee was transporting me to my childhood with
Mm,
my dad, where like I felt safe, and that's what the feeling, the emotion that I was trying to relive. And so I decided that in order to feel close to him, I didn't have to self destruct. And so
mm,
I switched to tea.
mm,
I only do a little bit of coffee in the morning and around 3 p.m. Usually, if I'm home with my husband, we do it like a little cup of coffee. But then I switched to tea and I love my brown rice tea. And the tea that you're talking about is like a flower based
yes.
tea. I love it. It's so
Oh
beautiful,
my.
and the majority of people, it's not for everybody. It's really not.
Mm,
You have to have this taste for it. And you loved it, and I'm like, okay, there is something here. Just
yeah.
able, to appreciate the flavor that comes,
Oh
because
yeah.
the flavor can be intense but refreshing.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Oh my God, that's funny. So, okay, so faith. Wow. What is faith to you? Or what is faith in general?
So I think that I can only speak for myself, but to me, faith is a lifestyle.
Mm,
It's not something that you practice like once in a blue moon. If you go to a temple of a church, which I appreciate it, and I actually appreciate the ceremonies, and I love it. When I have a chance, I do that as well, and it's very fulfilling. But faith is something that you live. Is the knowing that you will be taken care of regardless. It's like being able to see something that is not here yet,
mm-hmm,
like seeing the invisible, right? Like when there you have a big project and it's so big that sometimes you're like, oh my God, how am I gonna pull this off? There is something within yourself that it tells you that no, we are in the right path. And it's just be able to follow that and know that you are taken care of. And also if we observe, because sometimes I think what happening is that we go through life too fast, right?
mm-hmm,
But if we just stop for a moment and observe that, every morning when you get up, there is a new day. There's the sun is there for you, greeting you, and realizing that, you have been given so much, the blessings, the ability for you to breathe, the ability for you to hug somebody. The big things in life are free, really. If we
mm-hmm,
look at it, you look up and you see this amazing sky, right? You look, if you're in the ocean, you look this immensity of the ocean, or like here, I'm close to the Hudson River and the immensity of that. And if you're not in awe, of that, of
mm-hmm,
like how beautiful and grandiose, like we have this amazing universe that we can appreciate. It's like I always said that in order to be sad, you don't have to do much. In order to be happy, you have to be willing to see,
mm-hmm,
willing to be present, to really, really enjoy. And how can you not have faith? Like, I love science, especially quantum physics, right?
mm-hmm,
And the more I study and research, the more I realize a lot of the physicists that are in the field, when they talk about quantum physics and how the universe work, they talk about a force like what we call God.
Mm-hmm.
something. It's a force that is benevolent and is always supporting us, always supporting us. So when we forget that the same force that created the planet, the moon and the earth and the
Mm-hmm.
trees and the seed, it's the same force that created you. I mean, if that's not a miracle, I don't know what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
so having faith and is being able to see that miracle that you are as a human, you are a miracle.
Yes. Yes. 100%. And have you ever found yourself fearing what this whole experience, this lifestyle, this feeling of faith, knowing that it's there, but then have you ever felt fearful of that unknown?
Oh, boo, yeah. 100%. I think that fear is kind of a natural human response.
Mm-hmm.
The way I look at emotions, right, and feelings is we are so afraid of it, right? We don't want to be fearful. We don't want to be this. We
Mm-hmm.
don't want to be that. But those are human experiences, right? And so I think fear is a natural reaction when you're learning something new. Ever since as I'm a kid, I was very quiet as a child. People don't believe that because I talk so much now
Mm-hmm.
and I'm so bubbly and stuff. But as a child, I was very quiet. And I have these questions. I remember asking myself, you know, what is this place? What are we here for? Like, what's happening here? And then I started reading esoteric books, metaphysics, and different religious book. I remember reading the Bible when I was 13 from like the beginning to end
Mm-hmm.
because I just wanted to know. Like there is something in here. There is a mystery in here. And the more I remember, the more I learned, the more I read. It was scary because there is also this knowing that if you think about it this way, like, there is a force in the universe, and I don't care how you call that force. You can call it God, you can call it Allah, you can we all call it something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there is this invisible force that is moving everything, and is moving me too. It has given me the ability to be aware and to be here, and there must be a reason for that.
Right.
And it's scary because that is something that I read in Genesis that always stuck with me. It's the idea that you are created in the image of God.
Mm.
And I always thought about that ever since I'm 10. I'm like, what does that mean? That we're created in the image of God. And then you're like, but how? Like my question was, in which way
Yeah.
am I created in the image of the creator, the almighty? Like how? So it is a big responsibility, and if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what else will scare you,
Mm-hmm.
because it is a huge responsibility. And that has been my quest, Jacqueline, is to find out how are we created in the image of God.
Mm.
I always come with a theory. At the beginning, I thought, and I'm into like self development and desarrollo personal and like empowerment and all that. Well, our ability to think something and bring it into a reality, then you are a creator in a way, right? So if you think about it, this podcast, for instance, it was an idea in your head at
Mm-hmm.
one moment. It was something that it was pulling you to share these stories and these conversations. And now it's a reality. You made it happen. But it was an idea. And what is an idea? It's a thought. It's
Yeah.
a thought. So we can make thoughts into things,
Mm-hmm.
and that's powerful. It's at least here on Earth, because we don't know any other places.
Mm-hmm.
But at least here on Earth, we are the only creatures who can do that,
Mm-hmm.
and that bear a huge responsibility, because the same way we can create something that that we all can learn and enjoy, we can also create things that can destroy it.
That's
And
true.
so then that was my next question, right? Okay, so we are like God because we can co-create in this beautiful universe, right? And that is a huge responsibility. But then I thought, but a lot of people create great things, but we also can be very cruel. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't sound like, like a benevolent God. So
Yeah.
what makes the difference,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then that's other element came is compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Like as human, we don't want to believe this because we want to believe that we're little. Because the majority of the time it's hard to take responsibility.
Right.
In my what I do as a coach, I realize that one of the most difficult thing as humans is for us to take responsibility and accountability for our actions, right? So being made in the image of God is a huge responsibility because it means that you are powerful,
Mm-hmm.
that you have immense power. And we don't want to think that we do. We want to think that this universe is working in ways in which I don't have anything to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that's the case because, like in quantum physics, they talk about the observing effect. Like when somebody's observing a phenomena,
Right.
the fact of that person being observing that, it changes the result.
Yeah, because your focus is on that
Yes,
versus, and then it expands that particular piece of
yes,
things.
yes. So you are powerful if you can think of that.
Wow.
But that scared the heck out of us,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Marianne Williamson said, we're not afraid of that we're inadequate. We're afraid of our light. It's
Mm-hmm.
our light that we're afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
So then one of the things that I call it my compassion project,
Mm-hmm.
because as a human, I was not always very compassionate because I had, challenging experiences in my life, and that I built walls around me to protect me.
Mm-hmm.
Sexual abuse and abandonment, like losing my dad at 7 years old, and carrying like a sadness
Mm-hmm.
within me. I became very harsh to myself and to other humans. So like corporate, they used to call me the pit bull, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was so proud of that. People are afraid of me. I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. So when I started doing coaching, I realized, this is not who I want to be, or this is not even who I am because this is a trauma based response. I'm just trying to protect myself. So, how can I become more compassionate? Is that compassion something you can learn?
Mm-hmm.
And so, that thing that made in the image of God is using your power, but with a sense of compassion,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to understand that you can hurt people.
Yeah. And that compassion kind of hones in on bringing that power down and keeping it focused on good versus anything else. And thank you for sharing that and giving us an overview on, even if we have different beliefs, we all believe that there's something powerful that we cannot see, right? And that something powerful to many people can be different names. But we all know and we all agree that there is something powerful, whether it's someone studying science or someone having a different belief and different religion, etc. And I know you and I have discussed the different studies. So share with me a few different types of faiths and beliefs that you have studied, and how are they similar?
So I'm a nerd. If you haven't
Yeah.
realized that yet, I'm a nerd. People sometimes don't you but I am a nerd, and I'm always learning. And one of the thing, I believe that people have themes in their lives, and one of my themes is spirituality.
Mm,
I'm passionate about understanding the different spiritualities and how we do spirituality, how we practice it. Because to me, it was pretty clear since I was a kid that that it seems like people needed to believe in something. Like I just observed that. Like I grew up and my mother was a fervent Catholic and my father was a shaman, and
mm,
so these two worldviews are, you would think they're opposite, that they are opposite, but even in those two worldviews, there was a commonality, and the commonality is very specific. There's a core belief system, the core values, the idea of like loving thy neighbor,
mm,
right? Caring for people. That was true for my mom and it was true for my dad, regardless of their differences in dogmatic beliefs, right?
mhm,
And then I studied something that is called the perennial philosophy. And the perennial philosophy is this idea that every religion is based on a common denominator.
mm,
And that common denominator is the belief that there's something bigger than ourselves. There is this benevolent force that permeates everything in the universe. And so I have studied different belief system and different religion and different rituals and ceremonies. I'm fascinated by, like fascinated to the point where like if I had a free moment, that's
mhm.
all I do. And so if we look at different belief system like Taoism, Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, in the surface they look very different because of the dogmas and the different rituals, but in depth all believe in the pervasive force that created the universe, and that force is benevolent, and in the idea of loving thy neighbor,
Mm,
right? Like one of my favorite thing from the Christian faith, I always say that Christ is my one of my avatars and my superhero. I
mhm,
love the guy. He was like a feminist to the core. But he says something that I always really reflected on. It's like this idea of like, love thy neighbor as you love thyself.
mm,
And why was that so important to me? Because there was a point in my life that I didn't love myself so much,
mm,
that I really struggled with anxiety, with depression, eating disorder. And it was hard to love myself when you live in such a dark space. But, like I say, I study Christ from different angle, not just from the
mhm,
Christian angle. And I said, this guy knew something that I think we might have forgotten. And so what it is, and that helped me through those moments when I lost my faith almost.
mm,
And then my other superhero that I love, my avatar, is the Buddha.
mm,
And I always say the Buddha is the first psychologist, the first
mhm,
therapist, the first neuroscientific brilliant mind. Because if you read his philosophy, it doesn't mention God really. It
mm,
mentioned our ability to live in this world in peace and harmony with
mhm,
yourself and others. And to me, that was a tremendous, tremendous help. And that's why I started meditating with my dad. He always meditated in nature.
mhm,
But I think that we limit ourselves when we limit our dogmatic view of the world.
mm,
And if we can expand, and that's the whole idea of the perennial philosophy, is that it doesn't matter if I'm a Catholic, I can go to a Buddhist temple and I can meditate and feel the sacredness there. And how
yeah.
beautiful is that, right?
I'm glad you say that because growing up, I grew up Catholic. I kind of knew that something was calling me for more understanding of faith, but different family members had different religions. And so they were all within Christianity. There was Catholic and Lutheran and then Pentecostal. So I experienced those three and the different experiences and practices that they had. And there was similarities. I felt like there was more understanding and a lot evolved with me and my journey. with faith, and I felt like there's more. I need to understand more.
Yeah.
And that was my quest within, like, in my 20s, my early 20s, that was my quest. And I felt before I turned 30 that I found the understanding. I found what faith meant to me, and I found what kept me grounded. And that belief just kept me going. But then that didn't come without struggles, right?
Oh,
Struggles with,
yeah.
hold on to it. So share with me, like, what do you think people struggle with most? We did discuss fear, right? Fear kind of challenges people from holding on to that
Hmm.
faith. But what else do you think people struggle with when it comes to faith?
Well, I mean, there is a struggle because, for instance, I had a client, an amazing human being who grew up in evangelical, very Christian core, right?
Mm,
And there's certain ideas that he didn't agree with within that frame. And he said, I love that the worshiping part of it. I love the singing and the community and
mm-hmm,
everything that we create. But then this idea that can be very of exclusion, right? There's something that doesn't resonate. And that's not to say that it's a wrong, but the point is that he was trying to reconcile these things.
mm-hmm.
Do I need to leave my faith in order to reconcile this thing? And I believe it's a very personal journey.
Yes.
I have issues when somebody's trying to convert you to something or trying
Oh my
to
gosh, yes.
impose. I think that we need to have open conversations where people have the opportunity to explore. Like me as a teenager, I explored many different faiths. And my mother, yes, she was a very, I will say, almost fanatic Catholic, but my mother never told me that I couldn't do that. She never thought it was a bad thing. You know how some people say, oh, that's the devil's work.
Mm-hmm,
She said, if God gave you that curiosity, there must be
mm,
something there. So who am I
mm-hmm.
to prohibit that? So,
Yeah.
and I really appreciated that because in a way I was able to even enjoy, like say the Christmas Eve mass in the Catholic Church, which is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm,
But I was able to enjoy from my perspective. I wasn't, it wasn't like I needed to do that.
mm-hmm.
So I think that we need to be more open and also understand that religion, I believe is needed because people do need to have a sense of community and also commute with God, with that force in whatever shape or form makes sense to them.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to be careful with using this as a divider, or as thinking like I must be in the right path and you're not, because
Yes.
everybody's journey is different. And I think that's sometimes when we lose sight of that. It's me trying to convince you that my way is a better way. Well, how do you know that?
Well, that actually goes back to what you were saying earlier. We're made in God's image and compassion, and that understanding that there's nothing defined as to we should do this or that, but at the end of the day is community, understanding that we're made in his image, and what does that mean?
The idea is that, for instance, one of the things that I struggle in my own experience, I follow what is called the shamanic cosmology or view of the universe, right? Like my father. He taught me the simple principles to live by in life. And so, what is shamanic cosmology is like this idea that we're not separate from the universe, like we're not separate entities. Sometimes we want to separate ourselves from like the animal kingdom or the plant kingdom and thinking that we're superior somehow, humans. And that's a dangerous idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so shamanic healing or shamanic cosmology is more being in harmony with nature and being in harmony with the universe. And I love this principle in shamanic principle. It's like, like for instance, I'm a Dominican woman and I'm very proud of it. I'm a Latina and I'm very proud of it. I'm an American and I'm very proud of it. But before all that, you are a child of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first shamanic principle. And as a child of the universe, you know, It's about loving everyone,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of their differences. I mean, I always say it, I love all humans. I don't like all of them, but I love all humans. But the idea is that if we can put our differences apart
Mm-hmm.
and then stop trying to convince people that my way is the best way and just listen, like just listen to one another, you can learn so much. I have learned, listen, the first time I heard the Upanishad is a classic, like almost 7,000 years old scripture from India.
Mm-hmm.
This is older than the Bible. The first time I heard that in Sanskrit, I cried.
Mm-hmm.
It was something within myself that moved so deeply that I felt I have heard this before. And it creates such an impact that I did a semester in Sanskrit
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to be able to look at these images and these symbols. Because Sanskrit is believed to be a dead language because it's
Mm-hmm.
not being used anymore. Or if it's being used, it's being used in a very limited way. They're now teaching Sanskrit, which is beautiful. So I don't think it's a dead language just because the masses doesn't use it. But it's a spiritual language, right? And it's just so beautiful, like when I listened to it with open heart, I connected to it. And I was going through a very hard time during those time, and it filled me. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like, my brain didn't understand the meaning of the words, but my heart understood. And that was beautiful. And after that, then I went into looking for the translated version of the Upanishad and the wisdom in there. So we're missing so much
Yes.
because we limit ourselves. We're missing so much knowledge. I believe that everything there is to be known is already up there.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we study Buddhism or the Buddhist philosophy of like being in harmony with everything, things would be so much different, and we will grow as humans.
And just going back to something you said about division, I feel that that can hold someone back from really allowing faith grow within them,
Hmm.
for them to hone in on it. So when they see that there's division or experience it, that's a struggle right there. So what's a tip that you would share, in a tip or two, as to how someone can really hone in on faith for them? Like, what are two or three tips you would share?
I will say that one thing that really make a big difference in my life was this ability to stop. We live in a society where we're rushing.
Mm,
We're so fast paced. Everything has to be yesterday. Everybody seems to be so stressed. There's so much noise. Social media, the internet, the TV, everything. And literally, sometimes you just need to stop.
mm,
Just stop and do we do a lot of overthinking, which is really not helpful. But if we learn, because it's a skill that we can learn, self-reflection. Like if you can do some self-reflection, and what does that mean? Well, take a journal. I know that you have a beautiful journal that I love, and ask yourself some questions, like in everything in life. Like what's working in my life? What is something that I feel blessed? What is something is that I'm not working? What is something is not working? And why is it not working? We are so afraid to stop because here's the thing, and I think that's a struggle. It's like the way in this beautiful country of our, like this United States of America, the way, for instance, time is viewed. Time is associated with money,
mm,
right? To me, that's a challenge. It's a problem because I'm a Dominican woman, right? In our culture, time is associated with experience. It's having an experience with someone. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that it changes the way you look at things. I know that yes, we need to be on time. Yes, time is precious because like this conversation, this moment will never repeat.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can think of time in that way, like this experience will never ever repeat again, then we would live in a way that things would be different. But if we always associating time and everything with money, I'm not saying that money is bad. I don't believe
Mm-hmm.
in that. I think money is
Yes.
great and that we all need it. But if we associate living with money, there humans to thrive need meaning and purpose. You need a meaningful connection and you need purpose. I known very like rich people who are very very unhappy. So it's not the money is not the problem. It's the
Mm-hmm.
lack of meaningful connection and meaningful relationship and meaningful conversation, right? So the first thing I would say, just stop. If you feel like you're in a crisis mode or that you are in a space where you feel like you're in the dark, the first thing is stop, ask for help. Especially women's, we have a challenge with asking for help. We
Mm-hmm.
believe that we need to do it all, and because we're super women.
Yep.
And guess what? We do a lot, and when we do, I believe that we do have superpowers. But sometimes we're not expert on everything. So that's why, in my case, that's why I do coaching, because I believe in coaching. I believe that one person can make a difference in your life. And so stop, evaluate, reflect on your life. You know, take time to reflect on your life and then ask for help. There is a book that I love. Well, that two books that I love. One is The Four Agreement.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about being impeccable with your words, stop making assumptions, stop taking things personally. But those things are very easy to say than done. So like ask yourself why I'm making assumption, why I'm taking this thing so personally, and you will discover that there is a part of you that is wounded and that it needs
Mm-hmm.
healing, and go into that healing journey, which can be scary because healing is messy. I always say
And even that, just them asking themselves, why am I assuming? Why am I thinking this way? That can also lead into other things
oh
that
100%.
expand. I mean, just one question can expand into so much.
Yeah, and it can increase your level of understanding and awareness. And I think in our cases as human, is healing is key. But healing is scary and because it's messy.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
not. I always said that healing is for the one with courage. Taking a healing path is you have to have courage
Yeah.
because you have to show up for yourself, and you have to show up for the moments in life that were messy and the things that you're ashamed of.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
Yeah.
because those things that you're ashamed of, like if you look, I love symbology. I love symbols. Like if we
Mm-hmm.
look at the Christian faith, right? It had the symbol of the devil, right? Like that
Mm-hmm.
image that is dark, that is bad, that we are so, despise of it. But it says something about humans. I don't think that thing is outside you. That thing that is called the shadow in shamanic healing is called the shadow self. It's
Mm.
within yourself, because humans, we have this amazing ability to love unconditionally, but we also have this amazing ability to hurt.
Mm.
And only hurt people. Only people that are wounded can hurt other people.
Mm.
And so healing then for spirituality, I think that is key. If you need to start a healing process and only you know that, then you have to have the courage to ask for help.
And so, do you continue to doubt your faith sometimes?
I will say, listen, we're humans. So if
Mm-hmm.
I sit here and say, "Oh no, Jackie, you know what? I don't have doubts," that's a lie. Because as a human, you do find yourself like I feel like sometimes, God give me these things, this project, and it's like a scare. Like sometimes I'm scared. It's like a shit. It's like, oh my god, how am I gonna do this? And then realizing in that moment, who's saying that? The
Mm.
ego part of me who wants to believe that is the one in control. And that is tricky. That little voice, that thing is in control. Like, oh, how am I gonna do that? It's like, boo, it's not about you. You're not doing that. There is a whole an army that's coming to help you, or that is co-creating with you. You see, when you say, oh, how I going to do this, you make it about yourself, and it's not
Mhm.
about yourself. It's not. So stop thinking that, like, yes, you're powerful, but there is a reason why we need each other. There
Mm.
is a reason why we have this desire for connection, for belonging, and for community, because alone there's not much we can do. It's in unity when we can.
And we're not alone on this planet. We're around surrounded by people. So that's obvious that you have to have a tribe or be connected to people, whether you know them or not. And then having that compassion, that commonality of, okay, it's going to be a great day, but I have to believe it. And then I have to bring that to
Yeah.
everything that
Yeah, and you say that, Jackie, like, yeah, we live with other humans. As a coach, I had these experiences, and for my own self as a person, I had this moment in my life when I was surrounded by hundreds of people, and then feeling so lonely,
yes.
feeling in such a deep dark space. And when that happened is because of the pain, of the
Mhm.
shame, the wounds. And that's when I said, in order for you to take a healing journey, which is a spiritual journey, I believe healing is a spiritual journey.
Mhm.
Self love, like for instance, is not what people think it is. Self love is a spiritual journey. Oh, understanding who you are really,
Yeah.
understanding your superpower, and who you are. And when you have that understanding, people think, oh, well, I'm very humble. Like, I don't think of myself like that. That is not being humble. That is you feeling inadequate.
Mhm.
Because when you are truly, truly humble, you understand that you have superpowers. And because of the superpower, a lot of responsibility comes with that.
And now that you say superpower, I ask this question all the time. If you had a superpower, what would it be? But let me rephrase it for you, right? Because we're just talking about superpowers that we do have. So, what would be the superpower that you identify with the most?
My superpower, if you ask me, is to see my ability to see people, to
Mm.
see through their pain, to see, like, I have this thing where, like, and not just people, like anything. I have this ability to come to a place and see how it can become even more amazing, even more powerful. Like, I came to my house, and some people thought, oh, where those spaces are small, how are you gonna make it work? I didn't see the smallness of it. I see the possibility in it.
Mhm.
And when they came and saw what I did, they were like, "Oh my God, how you can think of that?" Because I don't see the limitations. I see the possibilities. And so
Mhm.
when I meet somebody, they tell me how inequity they feel, the sense of like that imposter syndrome, and all I can see is potential.
Mm.
Oh, like I can see, because what happened is, and this is something that we're not being taught, so it's not really our fault, is that those what we call challenges, right? The
Mhm.
psychological mental challenges is a spiritual power distorted,
Mm.
right? We have a spiritual power, but if you're wounded, and if you feel not deserving, then you're not gonna see those power as power,
Mm.
but you're gonna see them as problem and challenges. Like for instance, I work with a lot of intuitive humans and empath. There is, if you're an empath, like I know you're an empath, Jackie,
Mhm.
that is a gift. But then people tell me, but how can this be a gift? I feel people's pain. I become this
Oh
people
my
pleaser.
gosh.
Like, how do I deal with this? Well, that the part of you that is wounded is the part of you that had distorted that power,
Mhm.
because love and compassion cannot be possible without boundaries,
Mm.
without understanding your own limitation and your own boundaries. And if you're not able to say no, we have a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Because where is that inability to say no comes from?
Right.
And what does it mean? Like a lot of people think, oh well, if I say no, people are gonna think that I'm bad, or I'm not a good human.
Mm,
I'm not gonna disappoint them. So it's a lot. We need to do a lot of work. So my
mm,
superpower is my ability to see through the pain, see the potentiality, see your superpower as a human, or even as an object. Like I see object and I see beauty in them. Like
and
when I moved in my house, that my backyard was a como se llama, dumpster. Like it
mm,
was garbage, and now like it's the most beautiful garden there is. It's so tiny and so beautiful, and I'm so proud of it and I love it. And there's so many beautiful memories that I already have created there.
mm.
So if I only saw the garbage, then I would never be able to see the roses that I planted.
I'm glad you share that because that happened to the new home that I have for a few years now. My husband didn't come to see it, and I had such a rock star, super rock star realtor. Oh my gosh. She was so enthusiastic. But when I first came to see the home, it was messy. It was literally too much around, and I didn't see it immediately until I came back the second time just to make sure. And even though I saw the same thing, the second time I had an open mind and I was like, I can see the potential. Even though I can't see what that potential is, I had the faith that it was going to be okay and this is the place.
Mm-hmm.
And we were about to close. My husband had not seen the place
Oh
at
my
all
God. He trusts you,
until
that man.
until we closed. Once we closed, we had the keys and we came. That was the first time he came. And he didn't see it the way that I saw it. So to see what it is now is completely like night and day.
It's life
But
changing.
yeah. And so one of the things, and if it's too personal, just let me know. But I know faith, and I've heard stories that, and I'm included in this, that you could reach the bottomless pit and feel the
Mm,
darkest of darkest days, that you know that God is there, but that's not working right now. That comprehension
mm,
of your faith holding on to God and is not connecting. And it's the lowest of the lowest points.
mm.
Have you been there,
A
and what got you to see that light?
100%. There was a moment in my life, in my teenage year, 16, 17, 18, that there was a point I was ready to commit suicide
Mm,
because I felt I did something so shameful that I couldn't come back from that. Like I felt like I reached rock bottom and that I was not deserving of being here. And I still get very emotional about it because, now I work with so many teenagers, women who feel that way. And so I can relate to that pain. It was such a pain that I felt that pain would just bury me. And I actually felt it's not that I stopped believing in God, it's that I felt like I have failed God,
mm,
that I have disappointed God. Because think about it, ever since I'm 10 and reading and learning about these different practices and philosophies, I mean, at 10 years old, I'm reeling the emerald tablet. Like, seriously, who does that? You have
mm,
to be a nerd. And then feeling so ashamed of myself that I didn't deserve to live. And and that's why I think the power of connection, the power of other humans are so important, because I always say that my dad sent me Jonas in my life.
mm,
That Jonas, my husband, that this year we're gonna be 30 years married.
mm,
I always say that he saved my life. That
mm,
that was God's way of saying it's not your time. Because this man loved me unconditionally, no question asked, and believed in myself so deeply that I would ask him, like I remember asking him like 25 years ago, why do you love me? Don't
Mm,
you see what I see? And he would say, that's what I love you, because I can see you. I see a woman who's beautiful and smart, and a woman who made me human.
mm,
He always say that I made him human because you show me how to love. And so that's what I believe, that we must understand as individual the power, the influence that we can exert on other humans in
mm,
a good way, in a positive way. Whenever I ask my own guests on my own podcast, I asked them, what made you like, how come you're not a statistic? What made a difference in your life? And one of the answers that I always hear is, well, there was somebody in my life. It was a role model, whether it is my mom, my grandma, my aunt, my best friend, that believe in me. And you see, as humans, we only need one person who believes
mm,
in you,
yeah,
even when you don't believe in yourself. Because there was a point in my life that I don't think I was worthy.
mm,
And this person believed in me and keep on believing in my crazy projects. I mean, this guy is the one who carried my bags to my book signing,
mm,
and is my cheerleader. And we love each other deeply because
mm,
we see each other.
yes. And interesting you say that because as I shared my story on your podcast and in the book, and I'm speaking on it and sharing on my platform about my infertility journey, it definitely took me to a dark place. And what I feel helped me see the light and remain that light, because I totally felt like in the darkest of darkest places, was the continual prayers from people
Mm,
that were surrounding me, the continual love and human connection, even if they didn't understand. And
yeah.
even if I felt they didn't understand what I was going through.
And it's so interesting, Jackie, because you did this for me not long ago. I don't know if you know that. When we were, remember we had that book tour in California, and how
Hmm.
amazing was that? And really, like Anna, she just went above and beyond. Ana Reynoso, one of the authors of the
Hmm.
book, and feeling like so amazing. But at the same time, because we've been in this journey for a while, doing all this presentation, which is a blessing and a privilege, really, and a responsibility. But coming to New York, feeling so exhausted, like physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted, because I was dealing with a personal challenge as well. And I remember waiting for for our luggages, me and Jonas, and me sitting in the corner, kind of like questioning, like, what am I doing this? Like what I'm putting myself through this. I'm so exhausted. I haven't sleep in like 2 days. Like, what am I doing this? And I remember opening Instagram, and there you were telling people in your Instagram page something about me, Yudy Veras Bueno, and the connection that we have created. And I think I texted you and I say thank you.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that moment is like the reminder of, like, this is why you do this, because
Hmm.
of the connection, because of the like bringing the hope, creating community.
Yeah.
And I think we need it so badly,
Hmm.
like that sense of community, of being seen, feeling accepted, feeling like there's nothing you need to change. We love you just because
Yes.
you are who you are. And so thank you, like you did that for me.
Mm.
Thank you so much. And then I find myself in those moments, because listen, we all have those moments.
Hmm.
I find myself like people just sending me text or email. It can be a client for like years, and they're like, I was thinking of you and how you have helped me transform my life, and I'm so grateful. And it's almost like God telling you, I call it a synchronicity. It's like,
Yes.
no, boo, we're not giving up now.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I get chills when that happens, because it's just, it makes you stop. And if you don't stop when that happens to see what's happening, you're missing out, because you need to literally stop and say, Wow. That was interesting.
It's like, but this is why the way I look at our universe is like this magical place
Mm,
where everything is possible. There is a realm of possibilities because in the moment I have feel it and I have seen it when they're in the darkest places, it's like this light come,
mhm.
and it's to
Yes.
remind you that you are a being of light, that you are a spiritual being before you are a human.
Mm,
You are like, who was it that said that you are a soul in a human body, right?
mhm,
And we forget that. We forget that
mm,
we're sacred beings. We are sacred beings. We're beings of light. And your presence can light up a room or can put people down.
mhm,
And I really want you, for your people that are listening, to understand that's a truth, that your presence, your energy can affect other people in so many ways. So the idea is like how you want to use your energy today.
wow. You actually answered my next question, which was, can you share a few words? And that was powerful. So I'll leave it at that. And I want to thank you for joining me. But before that, is there something I didn't ask that you want to share? And then also share how people can connect with you.
Well, what we're sharing is that we have this amazing foundation that we're launching together. Me, Jackie, and two other women. I'm extremely excited. Inspirame Latina and our summit, our women's summit, that is coming in March 22nd to celebrate our brilliance as women. And I tell all my women, don't let the name fool you. Inspirame Latina is not just for Latinas, it's for everybody, women's, men, everybody,
Mm,
because it's that idea of really creating community. Like,
mm,
we are living through a time right now that is a very challenging time, and if we don't do something about it, we're going to feel that energy. We're going to feel the consequences of that, of the division, of the hatred. So we need to become the ambassador of compassion and creating the platform, the community where we can see, witness one another in our true nature and celebrate each other. And I just love what we're creating, Jacqueline,
it's
because
amazing.
it's so
It's
powerful.
amazing. I
It's
can't even describe it because, like, I've been telling people, well, last year, Judy happened to me and my life was transformed, and not so much transformed, it kind of connected the dots as to where the path I was walking, right? And so my platform and building my platform, it really resonated with when I went to one of your summits, and I saw so much that was going through my head that I was like, oh my gosh, like I see what you're putting in front of me. And that's when you have to take those moments of stop and see, does this resonate? Is this really happening? But is it connecting the dots, right? And it was
mm,
been connecting the dots since I've met you. So I'm very honored to have you in my life and to be a part of, a few things that are coming up that are going to be so impactful. I feel that what we've done already
oh
with,
my God.
the book and the authors that have been a part of some panels and some events, when we leave or at the end of what we are presenting or talk about, at the end of that, there's like silence at a moment because people are just like, oh my gosh, did this just happen? And they coming to us like, oh, we want more.
Like, what just happened?
Yeah. And so that's been in every single event that we've done. And just the fact of sharing our story and letting people know we're here, we're still here, no matter if that
No matter
happens.
what. Yeah.
And we're showing people that you can get through that experience. And mind you, everyone is unique and everyone will go through the experience differently, even if it looks similar to somebody else's journey. but it's unique to each person. And I feel that people that are coming to the events are experiencing that we're speaking individually to them and not telling them what they need to do. They're experiencing everything. And I get
Mm.
goosebumps because it's so real. So for the event that's coming up in March 22nd, like I tell people, I can't even explain it. You just have to be there to experience it because it's just beyond explanation. We can give you the little details here and there. You can read that in the registration as you're registering, but guess what? Beyond that, the experience is individual. And
Yeah.
I'm really excited for to see that, to be there, to just connect and be a part of that community.
And what I can say about the event and anything that we are putting together is life changing.
Mm,
It's really life changing. And if you think about, you just said it, like I went to that summit and something happened, right?
mm,
Like I see the dots connecting, and it's happening for everybody that are coming to an event, to our events. It's like there's a difference. Like there's something is different about this. And you asked me the other day, like, so what's different? And I think it's that human compassion, that element of humanity,
mm,
of creating that space that feels safe to share your story without needing to be ashamed,
mm,
releasing the shame, and finding healing in doing so. Like when I watch Claudia talks about her story, when I watch you talks about your story, and when I see the reaction of the people that are listening. When in California, this man, he broke down in tears
mm,
because what you share about your journey with infertility was so powerful. And there, he's going through that with his wife,
mm,
and how just listening to you, talking to you, he was able to see that I'm not alone in this journey.
mm.
And sometimes that's all we need.
Yes.
Sometimes that's all we need, understanding that we're not alone in this journey. And that company, one of our speaker, Maria Rosa Abrea, which is a brilliant professor in NYU, she's an expert on linguistic and communication, and the way she talks about language, she call it languaging. It's so
Mm,
amazing, it's so inspiring, so empowering, so and it's what she was saying, it's this ability to witness one another, being present for one another
mm,
without judgment. And I think that's why, the summit is so different, because it's not just about learning something. It's about having like an experience together.
mm.
And I
Yeah.
think that we're missing that. People, they're thirsty for that experience.
Yes. And so share what your coaching practice is about, the name, and then how can they find you?
So you can find me through yveras.com, wide veras, V-S-I Victor, ERAS.com. And I'm what is called a transformational coach, because it's not just about business, right? Like I'm not, and again, I respect all the business coaches out there. I think they're doing amazing work, and therapists. We need all of it. We need an
Yes.
army.
Yeah.
But I work with my my audience is usually women, and it's women that they're very successful women. First of all, they're already succeeded in so many things, but they feel that there's something is missing, whether it is a spiritual aspect of their life, whether it is healing. They feel like there is a part of them that hasn't healed. And I usually, when somebody hired me yesterday and she said, "You are my last resource. You're my
Mm,
last hope." And that's a huge responsibility if you think
yeah.
about it. But it's a challenge that I take because somebody had to.
Mm,
But it's also the understanding that, like if you ask me like how your coaching is different, is that I have this beautiful gift and I am very blessed and humble, and it's a huge responsibility. That you see how I see you and how I see your potential, then my clients, I give them the tools so that they can see themselves.
Mm,
the greatest potential in everything, all the gift that they have been given. And these are divine gifts.
mhm,
You see, this your gift are divine gift because it's been given by God. And how many people are not you're not serving, or how many, or what are this service you're doing to humanity that you're not
mhm,
able to use your gift?
mhm.
See, so that's what I do. I created a place where like it's a healing place because
Wow.
in the core I'm a healer. That's what I do. And
And what social media platforms? Is it Y Veras?
Judy Veras Bueno. That's you can find me on LinkedIn and Instagram, Facebook. Judy Veras Bueno.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, thank you, Judy, for being here. And I am really excited for what we are working on and looking forward to seeing the growth and for others to really see that magical moment that they're going to be experiencing. So thank you so much for being here.
thank you for having me. We're unleashing something.
Yes.
You have to be there to experience it. That's all
Yes.
I'm gonna say.
Yes. And so I will share in the show notes the information for Judy and also the event that's coming up March 22nd, as well as a few other links and clips about our book and so much more. So stay tuned for more and stay tuned for the next episode of Inspired by Jacqueline. Make sure to follow, download, share, and comment. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.